and want to bring in Washington Governor and former Democratic presidential candidate Jay Inslee joining us now. Governor, thank you very much. Thanks for waiting.
Thank you.
I want to talk about mail-in voting because this is something your state has had in place at least since 2005. You expanded it in 2011. It's worked smoothly. Tell us the problems that you may have anticipated, although you had time to work it out, work the rough edges out. Is there enough time with just 2 months and Congress still not funding any additional money for the states?
Well, if we have a functioning postal service, we're going to be great. And I have to tell you, mail-in ballot, the only thing we love more than mail-in ballots, maybe the Seattle Seahawks. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, we have embraced it. We consider it almost a constitutional right, and it is. You can vote from the comfort of your home. We've had infinitesimal difficulties of any nature with it, and that's why Republicans and Democrats are strenuously supporting mail-in ballots. We would suggest it to any state. And I think Americans are embracing this, signing up for mail-in ballots across the country. It's really gratifying to see that. And what we have seen, unfortunately, though, is as Donald Trump has done on so many occasions, he's afraid of losing. He's afraid of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And he's trying to reduce the effectiveness of this. And I think it was very remarkable the other day. You know, most people, when they rob banks, don't confess it in public. But that's what Donald Trump did the other day when he confessed that he wants to disable the Postal Service to degrade the ability to have mail-in ballots for everybody except his friends. And I see he signed up for one the other day. And so this won't stand. We need all of us to stand up for the Postal Service to make sure that it functions.
Well, what can people do if Congress, because of the Republican opposition, does not come together behind funding for the Postal Service? Now they're not supposedly not to come back until September when they're working on the overall budget and a continuing resolution. So can it be fixed in time? And what can voters and people around the country do to get their government to do something over the president's objections?
Well, there is a possibility of seeking judicial relief from this outrage. That's something that our Attorney General is giving consideration to, has not made decisions. There is certainly the need for Americans to stand up against this on a bipartisan basis, and I think that's important to say. You can't overstate the unique situation of how much unity there is between Republican and Democratic and independent voters in my state. We all believe this is necessary to a functioning democracy. And speaking up is something we can do. And we ought to expect Republican senators to speak up and fix this problem. It is fixable in time to do this. We cannot allow the outrage of Donald Trump's, one of his chief fundraisers, making the state of Washington pay 6 times more to try to get people to have the right to vote. And that's what's apparently going on right now with these shenanigans that they're pulling in the Postal Service. So it is fixable, but all of us need to speak up. This is a foundation. Look, the Postal Service is important. It delivers veterans medical. They get their pills through the VA system, through the Postal Service. It's important in our personal lives. But in this case, it is foundation to the functioning of democracy, and that's worth fighting for.
I want to ask you about the president's refusal to end any discussion about the lie about Kamala Harris's citizenship. He didn't knock it down, even praised the writer of that opinion piece, which has been so discredited. What do you think is going on there? It's clearly a racist conspiracy theory.
You have to realize something about Donald Trump. His political existence depends on a racially charged lie. He started his political career with his birther conspiracy theories against Barack Obama. In the middle of his career, he has given aid and comfort to those who would sow hatred from the disturbances that happened in the South. And in the end of his career, what I believe will be the end of his career, he is again resorting to what he did against Barack Obama, unsuccessfully. So I think that it is one of the darkest chapters of anybody in political history to try to tell an outright lie about Kamala Harris, who was born in California, who is as American, and to some degree, I would argue, more American than Donald Trump, because she has never stooped to that loathsome evil, un-American activity that he's involved in this latest con Trump. Now, why is this? Well, it's because Donald Trump is always afraid of strong women, and it's because he understands that he's on the verge of losing. So instead of focusing on his job of helping the states beat the COVID epidemic, he's focusing on distraction. And we cannot be distracted. We have got to vote in droves to see this man out the exit.
I also want to ask you about Joe Biden's proposal yesterday that governors in all 50 states mandate masks. You wear masks in Washington state. How realistic is it to think that the other governors would follow?
Well, many governors are following. We were one of the earlier ones to have a mask requirement, and it's been very successful in my state, in many states. In some of our areas, in fact, very Republican areas of our state, we have 90 to 95% compliance because we were the first state to actually require businesses legally to require their patrons to wear masks. And people are complying with that, both businesses and patrons. And as a result, we have some encouraging news. In Yakima County, which was one of our hot spots, it's an agricultural area in central Washington, we have knocked down the incidence of the pandemic. It's showing signs of working. So not only do we have broad public acceptance from Republicans and Democrats alike, but we're showing that it's actually working. And so I'm appreciative that we have a real leader standing up, which is Joe Biden, who's standing up and he's showing something that is based on science, and it's based on health, and it's based on common sense. And the more of us who do this, the faster we'll knock down this pandemic. Look, there was research done by a research group at the University of Washington a few weeks ago that showed we could save tens of thousands of lives if we mask up across the United States. But that's something worth doing, and a very simple, very acceptable, a very safe protocol. So I would encourage, I'm glad we got a leader, which is Joseph Biden, instead of going AWOL. Listen, you could not have a greater contrast of people than a person who, throughout this pandemic, instead of attacking the pandemic, has ignored the pandemic, who's tried to say it was a hoax, who still is saying it's going to go away next Monday. And in contrast, we have a leader that actually has science behind him. And I feel good about that.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.